First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
What? Okay, well, happy Halloween to you, Dan Snyder. I mean, what? I mean, if he was trying to make a joke because he's just thankful he's got Ron Rivera, his presentation somewhat, is the same as Dean Blandino's. But all right, we got some Mikey rulebook stuff. We've got quite a show. What are we putting on here first? We got some emails that we're going to put on. We already did. Look at here's what we have today. Carson Wentz. We're going to talk about him and Jadeveon Clowney. Something good to talk about. We got the Minnesota Vikings and the Saints. Was it OPI? Should have been reviewed. I've got my feelings on that. The Bills versus the Texans. A couple of screwed up plays. Dean's going to talk about that. How they manipulate the rules with delay of game. Mike Vrabel did it. Dean will talk about that. Matter of fact, Dean's not even here, and he's going to have more on this show than I do. This is Mike Pereira on Last Call. As you can see, Dean Blandino is not here. We don't know where he is, but you'll hear a lot of him coming up. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's just hit it. I have to tell you, I came in from New Orleans this morning to Los Angeles, and really the talk on a lot of the shows before it was announced that Mike McCarthy got the head coach's job at Dallas was Jadeveon Clowney and the hit that knocked out Carson Wentz. And really, should it have been a foul? And I think that's a lot of discussion going on that. And I kind of, if we've got a shot of this, we got any shot of this at all? Yeah, we got a tweet. Let's see what the tweet says. Oh, I know who this is coming from. Skip Bayless. Hey, I'm still trying to figure out how that Clowney helmet-to-helmet hit on Wentz as he was going to the ground didn't draw a flag. Clowney would have been ejected in college football. He got away with the cheap shotting Wentz out of the game. All due respect, Skip, I don't really agree with you about the college thing. I'm not sure. I do think, however, it's a foul. I don't know what difference it makes, quite frankly, because the harm was done with the hit. There's history with Clowney, and officials don't think about that. Remember, he put Nick Foles out of the game in Week 16 last year when he lowered his helmet and hit him right in the sternum, and Foles was out, and Clowney was out $40,000. The fine that he got, roughing the passer, was called by John Perry, the current ESPN analyst. But, to me, this one, it is a foul. And I say it's a foul, although close, because when you look at Wentz, he's going to the ground, and the hit occurs just as he gets to the ground. But Clowney can't hit him in the head. I mean, it makes no difference whether you're giving yourself up going forward or you're being tackled or you're sliding feet first. If it's late, there's an element of time, and if you're in the process of making the tackle or committed, it's not a foul if you basically hit him anywhere else besides the head or neck area. But the interesting thing is, if you watch this play, to me, slow motion distorts it. I mean, slow motion to me doesn't look as bad as it looks in real time, where you can see Clowney dip with his head to make the contact, no attempt to wrap and tackle. So, yeah, I think it's a foul. It's close. I get that, to use Dean Blandino's famous phrase, it's close. But to me, it is enough of what I would put it under of unnecessary roughness. Would it have risen to a possible ejection had it been called? No, I don't think it would have. You're not talking about that linear position when you're blowing up a guy. But to me, I do think it is a foul, and I do think Clowney has history. Would be interesting now in terms of what they might do because of the hit. Could they fine him? Yes. Could they suspend him because of when you combine it with the hit on Foles last year? No. It wasn't that as egregious, I think, that would lead to something like that. But to me, yes, it is a foul. Whether it was called or not has no difference. With him being knocked out of the game, the damage was done. But that's my feeling, Mr. Bayless. And in college, you have to re-officiate the play. Even in college, I don't think they would have put targeting on that would have led to his ejection. So let's move on to another play. Where was I last week? How about yesterday? I was in New Orleans for the Minnesota game, And as is the case with New Orleans, they seem to lose on the last play of the game. Third consecutive year. Let's take a look at a couple of tweets that really revolve around the big play. Kurt Warner, not really. Now really, he said, can you make this stuff up? Full extension of the arm in a building they made a building they made rule for, the building they made the rule for, and they don't review it, let it stand. Sorry, in the airport, can't hear. Damn, you didn't get to hear me. I was kind of funny during that when Troy said, I'll leave that to you and Mike Pereira, and I said, no, you can take it back. I don't want it. Obviously a big play, and we're going to look at what Al Riveron said about it. They're pulling up the tweet as we speak. Our executive producer, Steve Bondo, we got that one before. Here's what Al Riveron said. We looked at all of the angles that Fox afforded us. There is contact by both players, but none of that contact rises to the level of a foul. This is consistent, excuse me, with what we've done all year long. We left the ruling on the field. We let it stand. I don't like that explanation. I really don't. Because, first of all, it's a foul. Okay, it is a foul. Rudolph extends his arm and creates the separation that he needed to make the catch. So to say that it's not a foul, to me, was the wrong approach by Al Riveron. What I would have said is that, yes, it appears to be a foul, but it doesn't rise to the level of what replay has been getting involved with in the past. And to me, that would have been the right statement. And this is consistent. I mean, it's consistent with what happened at near the end of the San Francisco-Seattle game the week before, when they didn't stop it to look at pass interference committed by San Francisco in the end zone right near the end of the game. It's interference, but the league didn't feel that it rose to the level of why they put in that rule, which really is because of what happened a year ago in the championship game in New Orleans. That's a statement that I can understand. And I think that's right. I wouldn't have stopped it either, as a matter of fact, because if you were to stop it knowing that you weren't going to reverse it because you didn't feel it was big enough, then you'd have had 3 minutes of people pondering, what are you thinking about? What are you doing? And then probably even more of a negative reaction. But it is interference, but I agree. It's not the standard that replay has been looking for. You know, it's been 10 minutes and we haven't heard from Blandino. We don't know where he is. We think, based on some video we're going to look at a little bit later, we might have an idea. But Dean, from wherever he is, said, I'll watch the first two games and I'll chime in first, and we might as well just go right to Houston and Buffalo. And to set this thing up at the second half kickoff, something as just about as bizarre as I've ever seen happen. So, Dean, take it away.
Unbelievable game, and two plays from the game that had everybody talking and social media was buzzing. The first play, opening kickoff of the third quarter, DeAndre Carter catches the ball in his own end zone, makes no attempt to advance, and pitches the ball forward to referee Tony Correni. Correni lets it hit the ground, plays it like a live ball, and the Bills fall on it, and he rules touchdown. And chaos ensued. Lisa Salters from ESPN was doing a sideline report. She had to break away from her report to go to the play. And look, here's the deal. This happens from time to time, and we know that the rule states that a player can give himself up by taking a knee or sliding feet first and then making no attempt to advance, but this is common sense. This is a common sense application of the rule that Carter made no attempt to advance it. He was giving himself up, and there are some things in the rule book. Look, if we want everything in the rule book to be black and white, the rule book, it's already 200 pages. It would be 600 pages if we wanted to spell out every little thing. You have to give the officials some discretion, and they did a nice job here. Look, there are alternate officials in the postseason, not for the regular season, but in the postseason. And for the first three rounds, the wild card, the divisional, and the championship games, there are 4 alternate officials. And the alternate officials came in, discussed it with Correni, and they determined that Carter gave himself up and properly ruled it a touchback, and that was the right decision. And look, even if they make it a live ball, it can never be a touchdown because by rule, Carter threw the ball forward. As soon as it hits the ground, it's basically an incomplete pass, but it's an illegal forward pass. It can never be a touchdown. As soon as it hits the ground, it's a dead ball, but it's an illegal forward pass in Carter's own end zone, which would be a safety. So even if they ruled it a live ball, by rule, it's a safety, not a touchdown. But again, the correct ruling, common sense dictates giving himself up. Don't allow that player to make a mistake like that. And you'll see that from time to time. And again, I know the rule says take a knee or slide feet first, but the rule doesn't. It's not always black and white. And that was the proper application of the rule in that situation.
Was he done? Oh, gee. And he says, I talk a lot? Are you kidding me? Well, let's go back to him. I mean, nothing to add to that. Let's go back to him because in big plays, 6:56 to go in overtime, we get the blindside block call. The blindside block. It actually, the ball would have been down to the 38-yard line, would have given Hashka an opportunity to win the game in overtime with a 55-yard field goal. And chances might not have been very good since so far this year from 50 and beyond he's 1 for 5. But still, there might have been an opportunity. But, Dean, did you like that blindside block call?
Yeah, the other play in the game in overtime, Buffalo is driving. At that point, both teams have had a possession, and any score wins. Josh Allen scrambles to the Texans' 38-yard line, puts them in long field goal range, but Cody Ford penalized for an illegal blindside block. He was moving back toward his own goal line. He did contact the defender with his shoulder to the body. And look, under the letter of the law, this is a foul. In my opinion, it is a foul, but it's not the intent of the rule that was put in. The rule, the illegal blindside block was put in to prevent the blow-up block, the decleater, typically on a change of possession, on a return play. You see these blocks in the game where the player peeling back toward his own goal line blows up that defender, and when that defender can't protect himself. That's why the rule was put in place. And I feel like this is one of those unintended consequences of this rule. You have an offensive lineman. It's still relatively in close line play. The quarterback is scrambling. He reacts. He tries to block for the quarterback. It's not a safety issue in terms of blowing that defender up, but by the letter of the law, it is a foul. And it's one of those things where you look at, is this something the competition committee wants in the game? I think that's something the NFL is going to have to look at and look at the application of this rule in all situations, and when it should apply and when it shouldn't apply. And I know that not a lot of consolation for Bills fans at this point, but that's something the committee I'm sure will look at in the offseason.
Come on, Dean, screw the letter of the law. I mean, that's not what you want to call for a blindside block. Remember, it says forcible contact in there. To me, it's not forcible. To me, he didn't lead with the shoulder, the forearm, or the helmet. He didn't even knock the guy down. He knocked him back a little bit. Look, I think it's a bad rule. I think they didn't consider the unintended consequences, and they ought to make this rule applicable just like blocks below the waist. It applies after a change of possession and on a kick play, and not, like you say, in close line play. This is bizarre. Nobody's at risk of injury with a block like that. And to me, using common sense, if I'm a common sense official, I don't make that call. But you're talking so much, I had to get my point across. By the way, wear something nice once in a while when you're on this show. You look like crap in that T-shirt all the time. Sometimes your tats are showing out underneath your sleeve. But while you're at it, might as well keep talking. Tell me about the Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel controversy with taking 1 minute and 45 seconds off the clock legally. Tell me. Not
a lot in the Titans-Patriots game in terms of officiating. A very well officiated game. One situation of note late in the fourth quarter. About 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Tennessee holding on to a 1-point lead, 14-13. Third down play ends with 6:36 on the clock. The clock is running, and Tennessee takes a delay of game followed by a false start. And this is something we've seen before. In an effort to run game clock, to run time off the clock, the offense outside of 5 minutes takes consecutive dead ball fouls. Now, we know by rule, if you take consecutive delay of game penalties, on the second one, it would be unsportsmanlike conduct and the clock would go on the snap. But if you do delay of game and false start, the rule doesn't apply to that. So Tennessee did this. New England used this earlier in the season against the Jets. They took multiple dead ball fouls outside of 5 minutes. And Tennessee actually did it against the Texans in week 17, where they ran time off the clock. And the bottom line is, currently the rule states you can't take consecutive delay of games in that situation. But what Tennessee did, delay a game, false start. And then if they would have taken a third dead ball foul, it would have been unsportsmanlike conduct, and the clock would have went on the snap. Outside 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, if the clock is running and the foul stops a running clock, and then the clock will wind on the ready for play. And that's how the team can gain an advantage in that situation. And look, the NFL has to look at this, because at the end of the third down play, there was 6:36 remaining on the clock. The fourth down snap was at 4:51. That's a minute and 45 seconds of game clock that goes off the clock, and there's no football, and that's not something the NFL wants. So again, NFL will look at it. One suggestion on the second dead ball foul, you give the offended team the option to take the clock on the snap. That's the college rule. Just one of the options, but I'm sure the NFL will look at this in the offseason.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I like the college rule. If there's a delay game when you're in punt formation, the clock doesn't restart, period. That's one way to address it. But then you play with false start versus delay game. It's like the Where's Waldo game, too. Where the heck is Blandino? I mean, looking at that, I don't think he's in a hotel room. Looks like he's in a residence. So those little kind of half curtains there on the side, I don't know. He clearly won't tell us. But it might be that he's auditioning for Dancing with the Stars, because I want you to watch him from now on. The man has got some moves when he goes on camera. Take a look at this.
All right, we welcome in Dean Blandino. What did you see on this last play?
That's it. I'm not saying anything more. I want you to now leave this show with that memory of Mr. Shimmy Blandino doing his live hits on Fox. So last call is done. No last call next week. Blandino's still gone. And I'll be in Green Bay, by the way, for the Seahawks and the Packers. Man, it's what time is that thing? It's like 6:40 Eastern time. It's going to be a great matchup. But from Los Angeles, last call is history. Goodbye, everybody.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.